Hello and welcome to Game Brain, a board game podcast about our board game group. I'm Ben Mandelker. Joining me today, the one and only, the incomparable, the irreplaceable, the undeniable, Paul Satachit. Hey, Paul.
Oh, wow. That's quite the introduction. Undeniable.
Undeniable. You are undeniable.
Well, thank you, Ben. I will take a compliment. I'll take it as face value as a compliment.
As a compliment, by the way. It could go the other way around. How's it going, Paul? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty okay. This is kind of a last minute thing, but there would happen to be a window, and we are podcasting, and I think that's great. Speaks to our spontaneity and our ability to just roll with it.
I wish sometimes getting a board game played could be as easy as want a podcast right now, but it's also a lot less work just to sit on a microphone and talk.
I can see that. I agree. Totally agree.
Thank you for agreeing with me. We're doing this. I'm going to New York tomorrow, which is going to be super fun. Tom is going to Alaska for something. Trey is going to like a game thing. Matt's got work. Everyone's going in different directions.
Yeah, and I got a funeral to go to.
You got a funeral to go to?
That's great.
Yeah. I just ate a waffle. So there's
God, your waffle pocket.
I'm in the waffle pocket. I'm not in the coffee pocket. I'm in the waffle pocket. Yeah. I'm in a sugar pocket, like a very strong sugar pocket right now.
Like I am in the afterglow of a fancy meal yesterday.
Yeah.
And that was a good fancy meal.
I'm in that afterglow too. It's almost like we went to a fancy meal together.
You know what? Did they see you there?
Yeah. And I bet Dimitri is also in the afterglow too.
Yeah.
The two of us, the three of us, and also my friend Jessica, we went to a wonderful dinner last night. And
12th anniversary of your
12th anniversary of Watch What Crappens. Yeah.
So there you go.
It has nothing to do with board games with this, so I don't think anyone really cares about our dinner, or my waffle. But what I do want to do is talk about some recent gameplays because it's a board game podcast, and we don't have any big review today. We're just going to talk about some games we played recently and talk about some experiences, some gaming experiences, as is our right to do. Our want to do things that we like to do. One thing that I was going to ask you, like, is there anything you played recently that you like? But I just kind of want to start it.
You go. You go.
I want to give you the illusion of participation.
Here, I'll give you my. Last Friday, I walked in on a game of Mosaic. It was it was at Tom's game night. It was Tom, Trey, Dimitri, Chris Bussey, Ethan, who I don't think anyone knows, and I'm missing someone already. James.
Oh.
And I was looking at it, I was going man, I'm glad I'm not playing this. It's going to be a long game.
Yeah, they're doing a 6-player version of Mosaic. Mosaic's an interesting one in that the first time I played it, I thought it was really fun. Mm-hmm. Second time I played it, I was like, this is fun. I don't know if I want to play it again. It was so weird. Isn't that weird when a game does that?
It is. I actually like Mosaic, but it's one of those things where I like it, but then I go, whenever the chance to play it, I always say no. I don't know why.
Same.
I always say no.
But when I have played it, I've really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. But there's something, it doesn't have it doesn't have an X factor for me.
For me, I go there's something about it that it's kind of like working out for me, where you're like, I'm sure I'll be happy in it, but the activation energy of going into working out, that's where I have my problems.
Yeah, I can't describe it, but it's a fun game. Maybe there's a sense of maybe for me personally, I don't feel like there's much for me to explore in it. I'm just okay, I get what it's doing. Cool.
Sure. No, it's straightforward.
Yeah.
It has a lot of intricate, it has a lot of motion to it. But it's straightforward.
It's a Civ game, but it doesn't feel it doesn't feel like a Civilization game to me. It just feels like a big fun puzzle,
Totes.
So you walked in, you didn't play the game? You just walked in on it.
I had missed game night because a friend had come to town, so I walked in with B, and I go this looks like a game that I'm well happy to go home.
Yeah.
Hang out with my wife.
Yeah. Well, 2 weeks ago, we had a really fun game day where it was a day of hegemony. Mm-hmm. And so the original game plan was that and this is not really to talk too much about hegemony because we talk about it a lot, but it was...
isn't that our number one game?
It's our number one game.
And by the way, I listened to last week's podcast, so I think that was great. You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I had a great time doing that episode. Mm-hmm. I think Trey was smart. He really advocated for let's compile it. Let's not make it a big reveal thing between us. Let's just compile the list. And I do think that was the way to go because there was surprise in it. And on top of that, it is kind of annoying when people compare their top tens and then like, well, I'm not gonna say mine because it's later up in the list. It's just let's just go through the collective groups.
Yeah, like I was listening to it, like, oh, this is us at our best. Like, I felt like we're hitting on. I maybe because I wasn't there. Like, oh, we're hitting on all cylinders because Fall isn't there finally.
Maybe. But one thing was that so Matt Robinson had never played Hegemony before, and so I promised like I'm gonna get this to the table for you because what I hate is when like the window closes on game, and I hate when people don't keep it open. And so I was like, I'm not gonna let the window close on Matt. I don't want the window to ever close on that game or most games. So it was going to be you, me, Matt, and David Gillison, friend of the podcast. And then that morning, or the morning of, I woke up and we'd planned this. We'd had this on the books for like 2 weeks or so. And you had to back out, it looked like, right?
Yeah, because that night, my sister-in-law's father died. And I didn't, suddenly. And I didn't know if I was going to be drawn into like babysitting duty or whatever,
like family needs you, etc. So suddenly our game, like Hegemony, like 4 players, it's, we were like, oh gosh, like our whole plan for the day is actually kind of it's messed up. Obviously, what you're going through is significantly more important than a game of Hegemony, obviously. But we're like, okay, oh man, like we were planning on Hegemony, like who can we find who would be like ready at a moment's notice? And then I got a message on Discord from Forrest.
Forrest, that's right.
Forrest is
in Australia right now, I assume.
He's in Australia. So big shout out to Forrest because Forrest was heading to Australia. I met Forrest virtually by playtesting 18 EUS. And he messaged, like right after your message, he goes, hey, Ben, I'm on the long layover in LA today. Any ideas of what I should do in LA? And I said, how long is your layover? And he was like, I have to be back at the airport by like 8:30. I was like, why don't you come over and play Hegemony? So Forrest left LAX, trekked up to Hollywood, subbed in for you, like the most kismety thing of all time.
It was weird. It was weird.
It was weird. And then as it turns out, your family didn't need you, so you actually came over
or
anyway.
Want me,
or want you.
Yeah, both can be accurate.
This is just a very long way of saying, like, I don't think I've really heard of too many board game stories that are more impressive than someone playing a full game of Hegemony on their layover.
Yeah. From Seattle to Australia via LA.
It was amazing. And then at like 6:00, the game ended perfectly timed. He got into his Uber, drove back to LAX and off to Australia.
Yeah, no. I hope he's okay.
I hope he's okay too. But that's it.
Shout out to Forrest.
Shout out to Forrest. And it was a super fun session. I was really glad we got to do it. And it was fun. Actually, one thing that I discovered was that like, it was cool that even though you ceded your spot for Forrest, you still, I felt like, were able to oddly participate in the game.
Like, I think one of the things, not to talk about the game again, it is our number one game. But I think what it does is because it evokes, that's right, the word, evokes a lot of discussion. Like, you feel like you're always part of it. Like you can't, like, it's good for spectators if they're understanding what's happening. Yeah,
and you were able, like, it was Matt's first game, so he was trying to get a lay of the land, and so you were able to sort of like be an advisor to him, and it was great. I just felt really, really bad. I think I mentioned this in the podcast last week. I felt really bad. I was the state, and I had really not underlined how punitive loans could be at the end of the game, and I made this big attack on the middle class, which was Matt. I advocated for policy change. That way, like, half of my companies would shut down, and I closed down all the companies with middle class workers in it. And so all of a sudden there was mass middle class unemployment. He couldn't pay what he needed to pay for. He had to take on loans because the state had betrayed him. And Matt had actually a big lead in the game.
Yeah.
And by me doing that in the final round, he had to take on a whole bunch of like negative points from his loans that I forced him into debt. And that is what allowed me to win the game. And it was I felt really bad because I feel like that's sort of a sucky way to get a victory on someone who's playing for the first time.
It's a bentatorship.
It was a bentatorship. But I also felt like it told such a great story. It's like, oh, here's this state that just loves everyone, but in pursuit of self, preservation.
And the upper class was getting, the middle class was getting just too uppity.
Too much power.
That's right.
Probably would like overthrow us. Like, elect some leaders that would threaten
right.
us. So let's like just kick them out.
There you go. I thought that was hilarious.
It was hilarious, but I genuinely felt bad because I felt like just, you never want to leave someone with their first play of a game.
I don't think Matt felt that way. I think
I just was like really concerned. I wanted him to have the best time possible.
I think of the people who can take a beating in a learning game, I would pick Matt. Matt is high on that list.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I didn't even realize I was going to be beating him, like giving him a beating. I was just like, I got to fire him from my companies because he has a huge lead and I have to slow him down somehow. I didn't realize I was going to be like fully kicking, like taking a golf club to his kneecaps, But anyway, in a much more pleasant row. This is pleasant. So after Forrest left, then we played Apiary.
Apiary, yeah.
Tell me what you thought about Apiary.
I thought it was a very straightforward game about robot or space bees, and
I will not do the song.
That's right. And I had a lot of fun. It's my number 5 game of the year. But to be fair, I don't think I've played that many 2023 games. Mm-hmm. So like I'm finding my list is very thin, and so but it made it, and I think it's worthy of it. Although I did play it in such a way that I had this crazy broken combo that I didn't know I stumbled on.
Yeah.
And you and Matt did not.
No.
And so I was going like, this game is really easy. And it's fun, but it's easy. And you guys seem to just be not good at this game.
Well, at first I thought I was killing it because I had a big lead. I was getting a lot of in-game points, and I had a very specific like gameplay loop I had to do. But then I strayed from it. I saw Candy, and I basically went for it, and I saw Siren Songs, and it's definitely a game where you have to just stay really focused.
Sure,
on, yeah. And I started doing too much, and then I wasn't leaning into what I needed to do, and. Yeah. By the way, for those who don't know, Apiary is a game where you control bees, literally space bees, like future bees.
Sure.
It feels very much like a game that was rooted probably originally in just like proper bee science, and then someone said, "This isn't going to sell. Let's put them in space." So
maybe it's underwater. I would play underwater bees. I think it'd be hilarious.
I feel like it should have been bees that are not in space, but they are like opening up companies, and then it could be called None of Your Business.
That was a stretch. But when you say like bees in space, I think of the Muppets. Do you remember the Muppets?
I do remember the Muppets.
And
I'm aware of the Muppets. Yes.
Miss Piggy's little show, Pigs in Space.
Oh yeah,
Pigs in Space. Anyway, sidetrack.
Yeah. Well, either way, so we all have like a collection of bees. It's worker placement. You use the bees as worker placement, and the bees have like a numerical value, like a die, and then you rotate it. And basically, you put your bee down to do an action, and then if someone wants to do that action, they bump you out, and most likely, as your bee gets bumped out, it increases in value. And so the stronger the value, the more powerful the bee is. So you want to get bumps. That way you can become more powerful. And eventually the bee gets so powerful, Teotihuacan style, that it like dies. It hibernates. And then you got to like recess it. You got to get new bees.
It hibernates. That's right.
Newbies. It could have been called newbies.
Oh, there we go. That's another possibility.
But you found a really great combo with your faction.
Like it was my faction, and I got a card that really amplified my faction. And what happened was, it looked fairly invisible, especially since it was kind of our first play for all three of us.
Yeah.
And like you looked at my board, and you're like, okay, well, I don't know what he's doing. And then when end game scoring came, it was just like, oh my god, I'm just
bloodbath.
Yeah, it was like I won by a lot. And what's hilarious is we played this, not you and I, but like me, David Gilson, Mike Kanak, and Elder, we played this again, and I didn't get the combo, and David got the combo, and I was going, this game is so much harder.
It's a lot harder when you don't have like a nice broken combo.
I feel like I'm in a honey.
Did David get to do the combo successfully?
Pretty much, and he won significantly. Like I had experience, so I didn't lose as much as you guys did because right. But like it was clear that he was going to win, and I was like, oh maybe this combo is too strong, or for second play. What do I know?
And did this affect it being like? Did your opinion of the game go up or down with that second play? I only played it once.
I think for me, I would say my opinion of it went down ever so slightly, just because of
it lost a little bit of buzz.
I like it, Ben. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Your waffle pocket.
I can see you bumbling around. But
I am actually fairly not good at puns.
That's surprising.
Yeah. I find it surprising too. Like I think I would.
You usually have to rely on the hive mind, right?
Usually. Stop. Mercy. But like it's one of those things where I go like, oh, I think I'd be better at this, but I'm not very good at puns. Anyway, it was still fun. It was just the slowdown of the engine seemed pretty arduous if you were playing with people who were also intent on maximizing stuff. So it felt a little slow compared to my expectation. But I think it's still a worthwhile game. It's I think Matt said it, a straight medium Euro. Like, like it's not medium light, it's not medium heavy. It's the like center bell curve medium. I think that's a pretty good.
Yeah, I think so. I don't even trust my scale of medium and heavy anymore. I feel like I trust heavy, but medium, to me, it felt actually more like medium light.
Sure.
It's definitely not a light game, but it was, it was trending a little bit more towards light for me. And I thought it definitely felt like a right down the middle, like sort of classic, a medium Euro, in that there's a few areas, worker placement areas that you can go to. You can do things at them. You can get stuff from them. You can build a neat tableau. Like there's definitely puzzly stuff in there, but it's not super puzzly.
There's a little more interaction in the 4-player game because the board changes just a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't feel like the interaction was significant in the game.
And so in this one, it's more, but not so much where I would call it like hegemony.
Right.
So but you could see how I really need this person to go here. I really need this person to bump. There's some real considerations to be done.
It reminded me a lot of the games that Tasty Minstrel Games was putting out back, 2015, 16, 17. It really reminded me of those sort of games, which is nice. Like there's like a place for those games. I thought Apiary was super fun. Especially after Hegemony, it was actually really refreshing to play a game like that. It was like a nice,
like a sorbet.
It did feel kind of like a sorbet. Hegemony is just like there's. Hegemony is classified as a Euro game. It doesn't feel like a Euro game to me, but it is classified as one. But there's so much crosstalk and this and that. It's nice to just play a game where you put your piece here, you do something and whatever. I did find it to be a relatively heads down experience. I mean, there were some times I was hoping it would get bumped, but I thought it was really fun, but I don't think I would ever feel compelled to play it again. Or actually, no, I would play it again. What I would not do is go to game night in hopes of playing it. I would not want to build my game night around this game.
Gotcha,
Gotcha. So the other night, someone said, "What about Apiary?" And I said, "No, thank you." But it was a really good. Yeah, it was a really good sorbet.
For what I needed. Yeah. You don't go to a restaurant for the sorbet.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah, it was quick and fun and nice. So, but I can definitely see people loving it. I can definitely see how. It would definitely be just hit all the pleasure zones for someone,
sure.
Just
I hear.
It just needed a little bit more meat on the bones for me.
Well, one quick thing, when we're talking about, I'm thinking about the top 5 list that we did.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I'm the only person who put Horseless Carriage.
I know.
It was interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. Like I said, I just didn't have enough plays. I just didn't the first play that we had. I had a fun time with it. I did actually very well with that game, if I remember correctly.
I think you won.
I think I did. And that was very fun. And but it's one that I want to. I don't think it's as immediately accessible as a food chain magnate.
It's a big cup of water.
Yeah, food chain magnate. There's something actually very thrilling about opening up that menu and looking at who do I hire and what food am I going to get? It's just it's all very accessible. And I think Horseless Carriage would just have to peel some more layers out. But having a hard time getting to the table for as much as everyone around that table said ugh, great game. Every time for 9 months, every time I suggested it, people go, I don't know.
So here's the thing that I like, and this was I wish I was the one thing I wish I was on the last episode to say is like the thing that everyone was, not everyone, but like, that people were concerned about, like, oh, well, here's this map that you have to put out your factory, and and then you're bound to this, and sometimes that just sucks. Like you could be creating it just dead man walking type thing. I go like, oh, but that's what I like about it.
Yeah,
I like the fact that like if you make a choice, it could kill you.
Right.
Like, a round one choice kill you. Like, and I was like, oh, this is a little bit like life, right? You make I'm going to start a business. I'm going to build it on this corner, and all of a sudden that corner becomes
it's like, that's the wrong place to start your business.
Exactly. And it's over.
Yeah.
And I feel like Splotters do that, right? Like if you can't lose round one, then why play?
Yeah. Well, and people on Discord said that actually, yeah, you could get like a photo of like a very successful factory. That's going to depend on people not taking the technologies you need. That's going to depend on what technologies come out and the market. So it's not as simple as that. It's not like you just print out like, this is my factory, I'm just going to do it. Like there still are like dynamic decisions, and I would like to explore it. And there have been a lot of times, and we're going to talk about it, like where we had like a 5-player account. It's happened. It will happen. Like at Tom's night, often there'll be like 5 players, and many times, perfectly like solid games. I give Tom a lot of like, I rib him a lot about like, oh, here comes Fresh Fish again, or here comes Tribune or whatever. And those are all, like just because they're old games does not mean they're not worthy, and Tom obviously loves them. But I think this might be a time like, we're all sitting there talking about how there's much more to explore with Horseless Carriage, and that plays up to 5. I think like we as a group should prioritize some of these like 5-player games that we want to explore more, rather than going back to, like
tried and true.
Tried and true. I think you do a balance. You have to do your tried and trues. Like that's why they're there. It's important to not forget your tried and trues. But I think we should also explore other like, things. No,
I hear you.
I think Horseless Carriage is definitely one I want to explore and see if it's if it's worthwhile. But I'm glad you put it on your list, because otherwise it would have gone unrepresented. You're like a hero, Paul.
If you could remove the word "like" and just say "I am a hero,"
you are a hero.
Thank you.
You're an American hero.
Finally, someone.
You're a hero in the board game community. Oh, I want to say, follow us on Instagram, Game Brain. I think it's Game Brain Pod, or just Game Brain on Instagram. Follow us, because
we have a new social media.
I've taken over, and I'm going to try to put more content up. If I were smart, I still might do it. I might take a picture of you podcasting and put it on there, which is really exciting.
Not that exciting.
What's exciting is I got to play Bruxelles 1893 Belle Epoque.
Yeah, no, that's the expansion. Is that what it is?
It's
or is that
Belle Epoque is the expansion part of it. This Bruxelles 1893 got like got a paint job, which didn't even need a paint job. A glow up. Didn't even need it, but it got a glow up. And it was re-released this year, 2023. You have not played it, right?
At all. Not even the original one.
It's wild. It's such a Paul game.
Window. Literally, I missed the window.
That's crazy. It is one of my favorite games. Like, we tried to get it to the table a few weeks ago. There was like Jordan had proposed it. And I feel like I've actually proposed it several times. And that's also another 5-player game I'd like to point out. For people who are listening for 5-player games, that's a really good 5-player game.
Maybe this will be the 5-player episode.
It could be the 5-player episode. But the thing is this, though, then I have to think of like, what are all the good 5-player games?
Fair.
I just want to let them organically. No, the reason why I'm hyper focused about 5-player games is because we had a 5-player issue before. Which we'll get to it. We'll get to it. But it's you would love it.
I've been told that like I can't advocate for it because I don't have any experience with it, and so
no, you can say I've been told that I would love this game. Would someone please play it with me? That's how you advocate for it.
Well, now that I have that language,
now I've given you the tools. It is actually one. See, this is a game that I think of as more like a midweight Euro.
Okay.
But it leans more on the heavy side because the strategy is really heavy. But I think the rules are not too crazy. The long and the short of it is basically it's worker placement, but when you are placing your worker, you are also putting money with your worker because you are bidding for a bonus that you are in contention for. and you are competing against other people who are placing workers in the same column as you, because the worker placement spots are in a grid. So if you place a worker with $1 to do whatever action you need to do, and then I put one directly beneath you for like $2, I'm winning the auction. I'm going to get the bonus at the end of the round. So you are both like doing worker placement and you're bidding. But furthermore, there's area control. And so the location of your workers on that entire grid could give you area control points too. So you are trying to balance 3 different things with one meeple. And that's just one part of the game.
Yeah, I think you say that, and I go like, oh, that does literally sound like things I would enjoy. And what, like, I guess a hard truth, and it's not a hard truth, it's just a truth that I had to face, like, oh, I really enjoy bidding. Like that's become a little bit of like my go-tos as far as like games that I like.
Yeah, and I'm really bad at bidding, and but the game I think is still wonderful. Like I mean I like auction games despite the fact that I'm terrible at auctions. But it's like there's so much going on in the game, and it's so clever. The choices are so meaty, and the expansion basically expansion kind of like adds a horizontal element. I talked about how like you get a bonus if you like are bidding in a column, so it's sort of vertical. But the expansion adds like this horizontal element where you can get this certain sort of bonus, where then if the presence of other people or people in a certain row will give you bonus points. Not worth getting into weeds about how it works, but it just like adds like a nice enhancement. And the game also did some like quality of life adjustments. There used to be an element where you can get art and you just would sort of pull art blindly, but now you can choose what color the art is, which is, I don't know why it wasn't always like that, but it's a really, really good reimplementation. I mean, I think that this is like a game that everyone should have. I think this is like one of the best Euro games of all time. Yeah. Honestly. And
I will say like the thing that makes me go like, and it's ridiculous. So this is I don't like the box.
But have you seen the new box?
No.
Well, I don't have the new box out right now. It's in that bag, but the new box looks nice.
Okay.
I think you'll like the new box.
Great.
I'll show you the new box after this. Okay. Maybe it'll move the needle for you.
Maybe. No. But actually the bidding has already moved the needle for me. Like the pitch. I go like, oh, okay, that sounds.
Yeah, and it was really fun because it was I was playing with Matt, Trey, and Jordan.
Oh, we drove home and Jordan was talking about this.
Jordan, yeah, it was definitely a Knives Out gameplay, and it was really intense.
Speaking
and I was
my
like,
language.
Well, that's why you would like it so much, because you can't be Knives Out with it. Whereas I was like, this is intense. It got really intense really quickly with all the bidding.
Wow, that's great. I remember like driving you guys home, and Jordan goes like, yeah, I was doing something. And then Trey turned the table against me.
Yes.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah, he said that Trey turned the table. He's like, well, yeah, Trey turned the table against me. But I was like, well, Jordan, but what you also don't realize is that as you were deciding your moves, you're saying, if I go here, that gives Trey 4 points, but if I go here, he loses 2 points or something like that. Or like he kept on saying little things like that. And I was like, when you say stuff like that,
people don't like you.
People are going to turn the table against you. Everyone likes Jordan, but people will turn the table against you. No, if you advertise how many points you're going to deprive someone, and it's the first round of the game, we've been playing for 10 minutes, you're gonna like people are gonna
they're gonna have feelings about that.
The meta game will come for you. But it looked like Jordan really enjoyed it.
Great.
Next time he's on, I'm sure he'll talk about his experience with it. But it was really while this reprint is on shelves, I think like everyone should buy it.
Great.
It's so good.
Awesome.
What other things have you been playing recently, Paul?
I think that's it. Aside from like. We had a 5-player. That's the last thing I've played.
Yeah, we had a 5-player. That's why this is why 5-player is top of the mind.
So imagine going to a game night and there are only 5 people, and you have several games, say Coffee Traders or Bloodstones. It's plural. Bloodstones, plural.
Bloodstones, yeah,
or whatever, and you can't get consensus.
Yeah, I mean, basically what happened was some of us got together, and there were 5 of us. And, the question was, what do we play with 5 players? Because I guess the downside for 5-player games is that with 5 players, it makes the game long. Like, I guess really long. I guess that's
a part of it. But it's also an issue. Like, there aren't as many games. Mm-hmm. So, like, I think your collection, Matt's collection, Tom's collection. I think 4-player is the what was the
4
max?
is like that's like spot. The median,
yeah,
right?
And then for whatever reason, there's a jump into 6.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's this like gully at 5, and for whatever reason, like people, like, and it also has, 5 players has the threat. The threat comes out like, well, I could just go home.
I use that threat. Well, I use that threat because we were texting like, okay, well, it's 5 players. Like, what are we going to choose? And Matt was really excited to try Bloodstones. Mm-hmm. And he was really excited. He was a little worried though that I don't remember if he was worried that it, like 5-player may not be ideal. Mm-hmm. But then I think he expressed he was concerned about it not being ideal. Jordan then was like, yeah, 5-player, I hear it's not good at 5-player or something like that. So I did say, if you guys want to play Bloodstones, I'll sit this one out. Not because I don't like Bloodstones, but it's just more like, you guys really want to play it. Matt's never played it before. So, like, rather than be like, concerned about playing it at a suboptimal count, just play it at the optimal count, and I'll play Zelda at home,
Because Zelda is also a board game.
Zelda's optimal.
Optimize at
1. That's a really good 1-player game, But I got there last, I think, or the 2 of us.
Yeah, carpooled.
We carpooled and we got there last. And so there were several 5-player games on the table of like, these are the options that have made it to this next level of American Idol. Like these are the options that made it to Hollywood Week.
That's right. There we go.
Right. My options, not all my options died
Shut
on
down.
the vine.
Dead.
I gave 6 options. It was crickets. No one wanted my options. So then we had these options, and I think the games we were choosing, Jordan had brought Crescent Moon, Coffee Traders. Matt had Bloodstones ready to go. There were like 2 others, right?
Yeah, I can't remember. They weren't chosen.
They were, yeah, but and then we spent like 25 minutes.
It was an exorbitant amount of time for the decision. Aporia, that's right. Like, for deciding what game to play. Like, we're not even gamifying this gaming selection process.
We took so long trying to decide what 5-player, because each one had a pro and a con. Mm-hmm. So Crescent Moon, the pro was that, like, this was a game that Jordan was really excited about. I've been intrigued by it. Trey had played it once before and had a terrible time with it.
And I was told that it was very asymmetric.
Yeah.
And I go like, oh, well, like Root. And I go like, I stopped playing Root because it was too asymmetric. But I go like, oh, I'll give this a shot. Let's see how it goes. Like,
right. And then there was Bloodstones, but the problem with Bloodstones is that there was
a concerning 5
discussion that, oh no, 5, it might not be good. And then Arborea. I had actually a very bad time playing Arborea, and I did play it at 5. But I also was like, at that point, I kind of was like, I'll play. I was like, I actually think like maybe I'll enjoy it a lot more this time.
Sure.
I was like, red, let's embrace it. And there was like some other game that also had like some cloud over it too. I wish I could remember what that other 5-player game was. But so we kept on weighing all these. There was Coffee Traders, which was. Coffee Traders didn't have a cloud, except that it was going to be require a whole teach.
It was going to require. I only played it once, and that was years ago. So so there would be a new teach, and I think it had been played recently between you guys.
We played it in October, which technically that's like 2.5 months ago.
Sure,
but like Jordan was I think Jordan's been really wanting to explore that game a lot. So there was a sense of like, well, we could play Coffee Traders, but we just played it recently, so. We just sort of went around and around,
and I think I just went. I want to play Crescent Moon. I just picked a game.
Well, Arborea for a moment it was going to be Arborea,
but that didn't happen.
but then it was like there was like a sense like, oh, like we could tell not everyone was happy with Arborea. And then we went, and then yeah, you just were like, you know what, let's just do Crescent Moon,
because I wasn't going to hit the half-hour mark.
Yeah. So then we got our Crescent Moon, we got our factions and everything, we set it up, and we started going through the teach. And we realized, like, I think Trey's PTSD from the game came back, because I remember Trey I remember being
from across the table
across the table, and Trey was having the worst time, and I don't think he had remembered. And then as we started to set it up, he started to remember how much he hated the game. So then, who did
transition?
Was it Jordan? Was like, we can stop now. Well,
to Jordan's credit, he goes like, you know what, I don't feel like I'm teaching the game well enough. We can move on to something else. Like it's only. And I think that's actually a really classy move.
It was classy, and it was also sad. It was like it showed good awareness.
Yeah.
It was like an unselfish thing.
Exactly. And so I think you backed him up, and I think and then I go. Then I think we all got the bullets.
I think I was like, why don't we just play Bloodstones?
Exactly. And then like we did, and we had a great time.
And by the way, so Bloodstones at 5. Whoever put that rumor out there. Shame on you. It was fantastic at 5. It was great at 5.
It was murderous and fun and ridiculous. I won't say ridiculous, but like,
it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's a ridiculous game. But it was like, well, tell me what your thoughts were on Bloodstones.
So I think Matt made the analogy like, oh, this is Game of Thrones ish, as far as, and I go like, and I could not see the faction mapping of that, and so in that way I was like, oh well, here. These people have dragons, and these people, have giants, and these people, it's just hilarious. But it's, kind of like here you are, in this case, 5 different factions trying to get territory, trying to put your villages out, and then trying to destroy other people's villages.
Right.
And you have a few tiles. I don't actually know why they use tiles. The tiles are fine, but you could easily
use dominoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could use cards. It didn't matter.
You could, but there was something actually really nice and tactile about those.
I suppose, yeah.
You can't put cards out on the map.
Oh, okay, sure. Anyway,
it's multi-use dominoes in this game.
So, and you just move pieces. Yeah, I was Concierge. Is that how you pronounce it? Like,
No, you're the Corsairs.
Corsairs. That's how you pronounce it. I don't say that word out loud very often, because why would I?
Yeah, it doesnn't really come up in everyday discussion in Los Angeles. Did you get your Corsair?
And so, like, I go, here are my boats. They remind me a little bit of, like, of, is it Concordia? Concordia has boats, right?
There are boats in Concordia.
Yeah. And we're like, okay, and I'm just gonna like raid the coastline, like, some Greyjoy. It just was totally great as far as what it was.
Yeah. I was playing the horse folk.
Yeah. The Dothraki,
what was funny was that I was not leaning into my faction's power, because there's like a little strategy guide that comes with the game, and it says, for your faction, what you should do is just build up a big army in the center of the map, and just like, you can just go all around and spread. But instead I stuck in the corner, and I built up a navy, and I used that to launch all sorts of sneak attacks on people.
Sure.
But then you had your navy that you were doing your sneak attacks with, but your sneak attacks were like advertised. You're like, come in. Yeah. So then I had my navy, and we had a
scuffle.
We had a scuffle. I mean, you ultimately won. You won I won a Pyrrhic victory.
I would say,
but it was a very exciting victory for me. It was like a key victory for me.
So one of the things that you do is like, you fight, you pull some dominoes, some tiles, and then here's how many points you have, and whoever has the most points, blah 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 blah. And I drew well. Mm-hmm. And you drew well, and in fact, my power is such that if I draw, I get to see what you draw first, and I can adjust accordingly. Yeah. That's how strong. And so, but Ben kept on drawing well.
I was,
and I could adjust, but what kept on happening is like we kept on tying, and this jerk here had a piece that like he wins ties.
Yeah,
and I was like, what the hell is happening? It was crazy.
It was great.
And so eventually I got slaughtered, and like, Trey talks about the feel bad moments. I go like, I'm feeling bad.
I could see you were feeling a little bad.
I was feeling bad because like this is where like, it's one thing if someone beats you at something, like, and he goes, oh, I've outmaneuvered you, and you go, okay, but this is like destiny going like, no, you are not chosen, and that hurts.
Yeah. I guess I have been I guess I've been throwing some elbows recently because I did a feel bad moment on Judy.
Oh,
Our friend Judy. So side anecdote. No, Catan.
Oh, wow.
We played Catan a week ago, and it was so fun. Oh my God, I hadn't played Catan, like a proper game of Catan, in a long time. And it was Judy, my friend Sylvia, my friend Wole, and we just had, it was so fun. It was so funny. But my feel bad moment was that I got kind of like surrounded in the middle of the island of Catan, and Judy hadn't built this long road, the longest road. And I only had one more space where I could develop into, and I had to basically insert myself on her road. Mm-hmm. And it meant that where she was planning to build on her next turn, I took from her, and I also killed her longest road. And I just basically it was like the first time I've ever played with Judy, and we play 18xx all the time. The first time where I felt like I could see her trying to
inner feelings.
I could see her trying to compose herself, like in a very subtle way. I could see that she was thinking like, I'm really disappointed. And I felt so bad. I was like, wow, I pushed Judy. I pushed her to the edge there. And now to hear that I gave you a feel bad moment too. It's like,
but not you. It's destiny. Like it would be one thing. Like I you have shown me time and time again that you like drama.
I do like drama.
And so I see your boy, I go, is he gonna? Okay, but I go like, he shouldn't, because I have the high ground.
You did have the high ground, but I did that because, and this is what I really like about Bloodstones, is these kind of discussions. Mm-hmm. I did that because I needed to capture 2 of your towns, and I knew if I didn't put any boats in the water, you'd just be able to come in and put like your full force. So I needed to tangle up your resources in a naval fight. And as it happened, I won the naval fight, so it worked out. And then I got to capture your towns. So I really enjoy those decisions you have to make in terms of like how you're going to spread on the board, and you're like, let me create a diversion here, or let me create some like entanglement here.
You won a battle uphill. I thought that was great. I thought like the narrative is fine. The only issue was like, why the dominoes did not fall in my favor. Like it was a big, like it was the edge of the bell curve kind of thing. And I was like, this is not cool. Not that this happened, but like that it happened to me.
To you, the person who deserves all. And
I'm a hero.
You're the hero. You know what? It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me. But then it was also,
But Taylor actually really likes Bloodstones, from what I understand. Taylor Swift.
Yes, she actually plays it leading up to the Kansas City games.
Wow. Good to know. Good to know.
But it was cool. Also it really is a game of table talk, in the sense that I was doing very well in the game. I had a lead. We agreed that we think that we didn't finish the game. It was going long, but we think that you would have won at the end because you were the last player, which meant you were going to spam the board with presence.
I had a cheese move that I don't think would work in successive plays. I think people would have. I don't know if this play people would have seen the cheese move for first players, so. I think I would have won. But
I think you would have too. I think I would have had a strong second place because I was really benefiting from the fact that right from the beginning, Trey and I made like an agreement, and I had so much of my presence totally vulnerable to Trey the entire game, where at any moment he could have just betrayed me and gone in and
But Jordan was tying him up. Jordan kept on tying him up.
You think that's what it was?
Well, I feel like Jordan, he had a choice of coming at me or coming at Trey or coming at Matt, and he had.
You kind of went at all 3 of you at different times. Actually, no. You guys had a détente afterward, pretty early.
Just like Age of Innovation, you set up your where you're going to be, and for whatever reason, Jordan put him right next to me.
I thought he was going to go right next to me and just savage me.
So he goes right next to me in such a way that I go like, why would you do this? Because first of all, this is not optimal. There's a better place for you. Second of all, it's me.
Yeah.
And so he spams out real quick, and I immediately assault him and just kill it. And then after that, he can't attack me because my power has some special retreat property about it, and so there's no advantage for it. He's just wasting moves. Right. He comes at me, so I was like, oh well, I think I can live with this next door neighbor. And then he spread out where it was more.
He had this sort of north from my POV, it was northwestern. For anyone who's wants to be specific about the direction of the map. But he had a region that he was sort of in, and then he was sort of like attack Matt, then attack Trey, and then attack Matt. He also it's like he would have success, then he'd have failure and success and failure. But then what happened was, because you guys made like an agreement, you were more motivated to take your ships down to my area.
Yeah, which is across the board, by the way.
Right, but your ships can get there quickly.
Yeah.
So then I was focusing on you, and I didn't want to also make Trey mad, so I sort of like stayed away from Trey's area. But Trey was also then providing protection for me from Jordan, because if Jordan got through Trey, he could come to me.
Sure.
So then it was like important for me to have good terms with Trey. But then they had Matt, and Matt, I think towards the end he started to come for me, but then he was largely tied up with Jordan's stuff. So it was really cool how the dynamics of the battles and how people did like really affected how people moved around. And then in the end, Matt started to come for me, but then I had my ships, and then I did like this, went around and
flanked him.
I flanked him, and like it was cool to see that like it's not just like I'm taking this land, like everything is a response to what everyone else is doing and where the power vacuums are on the board, you know?
I mean, I think Trey probably, if you play it again, he would not put himself in the center of the board. I think he felt like, oh, that was a mistake, because he had to play against everyone in some regard.
And he was actually originally planning to go down and protect me with his dragon. He was going to go south. I was going to go north. But he wound up actually being in a quagmire. He was in a big quagmire with Jordan. But he was also going west towards you at the same time. It was just interesting, the voids on the map and how it really affected people.
I think, if you've been in the hobby for a while and you've played like meeples on a map type situation, you've played something like this. And I think in the analysis, it basically comes down to how quickly and how efficiently it gets to what it's trying to do. Yeah. And I think for all of it, even at 5-player, like it got, we got to it really quick. Yeah. Yeah. Like basically we start off like everyone gets as much free stuff as they can, because now we're all the free lands are gone, and now we're kind of like punching at each other. And if you like that type of game, great. If you don't, you're not going to like this. But like,
true. But at the same time, this game has no like. It is what it is. By the way, sorry, there's like a leaf blower outside if you hear that. But it is what it is. Like it doesn't have any
pretension to be
anything. I keep on mentioning Cosmic Frog, which is probably not fair because I only played it once and at 3 players. But like again, Cosmic Frog was a game where it is kind of like this, but it made me feel like it was I had some sort of engine building capabilities in it. And then with this one, it's like we're just battling, and I beat you in that naval battle and it ruined your tempo, but then you came in not long after and you beat me like a few times, and it's like oh, well, that sucked. Moving on. You sort of just like, you take it on the chin. It's okay in this game, I think.
And I do, like, it's one of those things where Trey was talking about how there's a similarity to diplomacy. Yeah. Where you probably need to ally yourself with someone for at least temporarily. Like, for all of it, Jordan and I allied. We never said, "Hey, let's ally with each other." Like, right. But we had a detente where he was like, "If I go in at Paul, he's gonna mess me up. I'd rather just go get all these free empty spaces than." And he had the the I don't say audacity, but like, sure, let's call it audacity. He goes like, "Paul, can we get in a fight and let me beat you so I can get an undead? Because I really want an undead."
And then I was like, "Do not let him do that."
And then I go, "No, I'm not going to do that." And then he has to go in that Trey.
Yeah, because I was like, don't, because the undead is really powerful. I was like, absolutely don't do that, But like, it was cool that it caused me, who's all the way across the board, to chime in, because I know that like that undead could now come all the way over to me across the board very easily, and I don't want to be messing with that undead. I've got enough stuff, and then Paul, you and I had a detente after our skirmishes. Then we had a detente, so like.
The only person I heard there were in the Northeast legends of giants. Never seen one in my life.
I had some. Well, I did. It's so funny. Like it would have been interesting to see how the game would have played out, because I started doing what I did the last time I played the game, which was Jordan was the giants and I was like the necromancers or something, and he would send his giants in, and I was like, I tried to fight the giants once or twice, and I realized I can't do this. So I then was like, okay, wherever the giants go, let the giants go there. And while whoever has the giants is going to be focused on what the giants are doing, and I'm just going to go into wherever the giants are not, and just like, take it from me. And that's what I started doing again. And it's like really a cool power dynamic. It's like, oh, like that faction gets this really strong unit, but they usually wind up putting all their efforts into that unit. So then it exposes them on the back end.
Like it's more fluid than you would think. So as far as like, if you're able to just step back a little bit and see where things are, like things open up. People people have to, because you don't actually have enough resources to fortify everything, and you lose stuff because people interact with you, and as it should be. There's attrition and diplomacy. It's a perfectly fine game, and I don't mean fine as in like it's okay. I mean like it's a good game.
And it actually reminds me of Catan in the sense that like you have these maps, but where you in Bloodstones, where you start with your faction is going to create a whole different experience.
Yeah,
and
totally.
the map sort of looks like has a color scheme of Catan in a certain way. So yeah, I really enjoy Bloodstones. Both times I played it, I was not like chomping at the bit to play it, and both times when I played it, I had a great time. Yeah. I still don't know if it's one I would get. I don't know if it's one I would buy.
It's not exactly your brand.
It's not my brand. I had fun playing it. But I feel, first of all, I also feel like it's going to be the sort of game that is going to be like foisted upon me several times. Sure. So I know I don't think it's a game I have to get, because I don't think it's a game that I'm personally going to be foisting on other people, if that makes sense. Like outside of game brain. So, but it was fun. But I mean, the whole, the act of like choosing it beforehand was like, for a moment there, it looked like game night was going to be like go down into the shitter, right? like the game at Bloodstones actually gave us a really fun reset for the night.
Yeah.
But it does like bring up a question of like, what is the best way to choose a game? Like, what is, if it's game night and you're with a bunch of people, like what are the way, like how can we make choosing a game a better experience? Or like are there tools we can be using that we're not using? Are there approaches that we can use? This is something that actually came up on Discord coincidentally a few weeks ago. Some people were saying like, oh, I would go to game night and it was run like a dictatorship and it was great. And then some people say, oh, well, like there's like every week someone gets a different pick, things like that. Like, what do you think is like the magic, the silver bullet to like killing this annoying situation that happens time and time again on game nights?
So I read this little article or something where they're comparing Google and Apple with jobs and they're saying like, Apple is actually pretty evil in the sense that it's a dictatorship. Someone makes a choice and that's what we're going. Whereas like, Google tends, or at least the open source, there's a consensus and like people come up, blah, 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 blah. And I feel that if you're Apple and you're a dictatorship, that totally can work. As you can see, the burden is you just have to be right. That's it. So if you have someone who really knows your group and really goes like, oh, you know what, this is going to be the game for us tonight. And even if people go like, I don't really feel like you'll get into it. Like, right. Like sometimes like just brute force a little bit does wonders. I kind of agree. And by the way, like a few weeks ago we had this discussion. We were telling like this funny story about like how like we played Manhattan Project 2, but we had a similar situation that night where we couldn't decide what we wanted. And I feel like a lot of times when you have a group that gets together and are like, what are we going to play? I think when everyone tries to approach it democratically, I think that's when people get their feelings hurt the most. Because if you have it democratically and you have like, well, what do you, like, I nominate this one and I nominate this one. I think the mere act of nominating a game suggests advocacy, and that like you are now offering up your voice. And so if you don't get your way, implicitly your voice is being shot down.
I know a lot of people will say I don't think of it that as deep as that, but I think that is like the source of a lot of the feelings that people would get in choosing a game. Oh, and by the way, follow up real quickly on that situation. I did play Imperial Steam with Jordan. The debt has been paid, and I'm never going to make a promise like that again. That was fun. By the way, it was super fun.
I will say there's another aspect that I think about, and that is, like for the longest time, or like for the last time we did our Game Brain's favorite games kind of thing, it wound up being Great Western Trail.
For overall games of all time.
Yeah. And it was funny because it wasn't anyone's number one. Mm-hmm. It just was like within the top 10 for a lot of people. Not mine, but a lot of people. And I was like, does this really represent us? Mm-hmm. And they go like, in some like long-term aggregate maybe, but like I don't really think of it at us as the Great Western Trail. Right. So in that vein, I feel that like you're trying to find a game that's going to make the game night. You're not trying to find a game that's going to have everyone go like, okay, I'm going to compromise.
Right.
So it'd be okay. It's okay to like, go like, hey, this game has the most potential to create a fun experience. And it might make people have to like buckle up a little harder and go like, okay, I need to like put my feelings aside and just get into this, because you should never pick a game that's going to really hurt you. Like, if you're not up for like an 18xx China, you don't have the 17 hours to play. Like you should never force someone to play that game. However, like, if you have trust in your game group, like sometimes you just gotta shut up and suck it up.
Yeah, I mean that's what was interesting about the Arborea thing. Like I could see Matt was really excited to play it because he had bought it, and it's been really well received by a lot of people. And I really didn't want to play it, but I had faith that with our group of people, like we could have a really fun time with it, and that I'm aware enough that it's so many people like Arborea that like my first play, maybe there's a rule wrong, or maybe the vibe wrong vibe, or wasn't in the mood, but like maybe with like, that group that night, it'd be great. And so like, I think I guess what I'm trying to say is like, there is something to be said about like sometimes saying like, if you've got like the right crew, it almost doesn't matter which game you play.
100%. But
that being said, I don't know if that's an answer to what I'm asking. Like, I don't think like if someone says like, what's like in my mind, there are going to be times where you don't have the right crew.
Sure.
Like you don't always have the right crew. And so it's still like, if someone says like, how do we choose? I'm gonna say it doesn't matter what we play because we're so great.
Which will come to my second point. Like, first of all, I'm a person who says pick something because we're here together and we're friends.
Yeah.
You can have that. You can have that either transition over and you picked last time, now it's this person, which is fine. You can have someone who tends to be the leader of the group. I don't know if people want to use that word, but leader of the group. If you choose leader, the leader should be good though. They should
curating.
Exactly. They should be able to see like, here is what the vibe of the group is right now, and this fits that vibe. Even though some people may be resistant towards it, this is the vibe. As opposed to, I can put this game out and I can just cruise director fun push everyone, because the fun push almost never works.
No. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's tricky because I feel like when there have been times where we just sit down and like no one wants to be domineering, and that no one wants to be the domineering one. No one wants to be the one that like puts their neck out on the line. Because everyone actually wants to be respectful, and they don't want to be the one that says it's going to be like this. Then what happens is there's like, well, we could play this one, and like, yeah, we could play that. I mean, I'm not interested in that game whatsoever, but we could, let's play it. Like that happens all the time.
Yeah, you can
and then it's like, well, you're not interested in it, so then we won't play that one. No, play it. I mean, I've been the one who's been I've been the one who's been like the polite one who's like, no, I'm not. I would say this is a common thing. You know what? I would play that. I would not say it's like the thing I'm most excited about, but I would totally play that. And you know, when people say that, you say, okay, well, we're not going to play that one. But you're not being honest that you don't want to play it.
Everyone can't do that because your game group can drown in politeness.
Right. I have actually gotten to a place in life where if I say, not my number one choice, but I will totally play it, I'm actually very sincere. That's me. Sure. That's me letting you know, like, if you're trying to assemble where the excitement levels are, I will play it. Like, let's play it, no problem. But like, there was a period of time when I would say that, and what it really meant was like, I do not want to touch that whatsoever. Like, get that out of me. But now I mean it when I say like medium excitement, but like totally will play it if that's what everyone wants. Like, I'm down for that. But like, I feel like what happens is when games are chosen democratically, that happens. But then on the other hand, like if you walk into a game night and someone's already set up the game and so you don't even get a choice, that's also kind of like not great.
Like my belief is, I mean, I agree with that completely. My belief is people want to be heard. So you want your voice to be like, oh, here is what I think. And I think if people are heard, and even if it doesn't go their way, if they feel like they're being heard, it's fine. It's when like example versus after example where the evidence shows that you're not being heard.
Right.
I think that's where it becomes problematic. And that's why it requires someone, whoever you choose, whether it be a person or a rotating baton or whatever, I don't know, game baton. Like that person has the responsibility of picking what they think is best for the group, not what they want to play. That's right. That's the difference. The difference, like I want to play Fresh Fish. You know, I love Fresh Fish, Ben. I would never choose to play Fresh Fish with you. I would never even offer that. Even we have a 5-player. He goes, "Oh, what 5 players can we play?" And I go, "Well, I would like to play Fresh Fish." I wouldn't. That would never happen because I know that you have such strong feelings about it.
I actually don't have strong feelings about Fresh Fish. Believe it or not, I don't have because I only played it once many years ago, and I thought it was fine. I'm totally open to playing it again. My feelings about Fresh Fish is just that it's like. It just always hits the table over and over and over again. And whereas then we sit here and say, "Oh gosh, I wish we had more plays of Horseless Carriage," you know. And right, I'm just saying, and like, that could be a stand-in for many games. It's not. This is not me coming for Tom or anything, because Tom is a big advocate for the game. So like, I have nothing against.
Now I'm trying to put the Fresh Fish on your 10x10.
Yeah, but it's more just like.
How about Tribune then?
Well, I mean, Tribune. I don't love Tribune. I don't love Tribune. I don't think it's a terrible game. I just don't love it.
So as that, you know, I would not, you know, if I had the game baton, you know, I would never go like, oh, we could play Tribune. I would never do that because I wouldn't put you in that situation because you're already sacrificing a little bit. Like especially you may not get the best of it, but it's my responsibility to show you that you are being considered.
However, if you really wanted to play a Tribune and you said, guys, I have a request to make. I know this game has come to the table more than others, whatever. But honestly, I would love to play Tribune tonight. I've been thinking about it all day. Would you guys mind if we played Tribune? I would be okay with that because I feel like in a situation, by saying that, you're saying...
You're shifting the question.
I understand that I'm pulling I'm pulling out something.
I'm pulling a card,
I am now like whatever input you wanted to make. I'm sort of overriding it, but I'm asking for your permission, which in turn shows like a certain degree of care for other people's feelings. Right?
You're not being disregarded. You are, in fact, you are being primarily considered.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, this is a strong consideration. I would like I want to voice what I want.
I understand you don't love this game. I kind of want to have a selfish moment. And again, this is. Even though we're talking about Tribune, this is not about Tom. This is just like, because it sort of sounds like it, but it's not. It's just about in general, right? Like say like, guys, I just have been really wanting to get this to the table. Could you this would mean a lot to me, or I feel like this would be a really good group for this. I feel like if like a sincere plea like that would actually be really good. But I think that like it is about having like being heard.
Yeah, no, I think there is sometimes there can be this like, I won't say bullishness, but like a sternness where you go like, hey, we should just pick things. We can do this, and we can all be adults about this.
Right.
But like you use the word, and in my mind, it's like, oh, I don't think a lot of people will be okay with this. And you go like a sincere plea. Like I think a lot of people wouldn't want to hear that, use that word, but in truth, that's what it really is. It's just being emotionally honest and vulnerable to going like what you want. What I hate is when people have what they want and they don't say anything about it, and then they're all passive aggressive about it. And I'm gonna go like, Jesus Christ!
I would not know anything about that.
You would not know anything about that. No, I'm going like, I could play. Like I think I'm pretty flexible. There are few games that I would go like, oh, I'm not going to play this game. In fact, I can't even think of a game where that is. But if you wanted to play a game I didn't want to play, and you didn't express it, and now you're ruining the vibe, no good. No good. No good. Like remember,
that makes me mad.
Like you're here. I hate. Here it is. Paul's pointing his button again. Like you're here to make memories. And I don't want my memory to be like, you're being a little bitch. That's not the memory I want.
Well, I mean, and the thing is, it's like saying sincerely what you want to play, that is good. And, it shows care. You're paying attention to people's voices, et cetera, et cetera. But like, it still doesn't, I don't know if that still answers the question of like, should it be a democratic process? Should it be should there be more leadership in it, that someone takes a leader? Or the other way is come up with a system where therefore you can remove the voice as much as possible, right? So someone on our Discord said, I was in a group for the longest time where we just rotated whose pick it was. And like on one night it's so-and-so's night. Another night it's so-and-so's. Another night it's so-and-so's. And that way, if there's no like, oh, my voice isn't being heard. It's just like, it's not my voice's turn yet. Which feels on the surface like that would be a great fix. I feel like there also will probably be problems with that too.
I feel like I think what government style is better. And, people say democracy or dictatorship or blah, blah. And the answer, it depends. It depends on the group. And actually, it really depends on the style. Like sometimes, you want things to happen fast. You know what you don't do when you when everyone have a vote, everyone pleads their case, everyone that if you need something fast, if aliens are attacking, you want someone to go like, do this. I get it. And sometimes you want some long consideration. Our group specifically, it ebbs and flows. Sometimes people go like, I want to play this. This is the new game I just got. I'm really excited to play it. Can we play it? Boom, we play in that game.
Right.
Other times we go in like, you know what? I don't know. We don't have anything new. We don't have, anyone feeling like, and everyone is basically going, I want to hang out with you guys and have fun, but I don't want to play that game,
Right.
And that can be a quagmire, but like you just vote, and that tends to be okay as well. So it all changes. So when you say which is the best way, it really is a vibe. In my opinion, it's really a vibe of your group. Some people would be some groups would be very happy with it's this person's turn. Is this person's turn? Is this person's turn? And let's not think about it at all. Let's just play. The advantage of our group is like we're kind of optimized theoretically to maximize the vibe.
Right.
As opposed to like, oh, hey, it's Dimitri's turn. We're playing Teach You.
Right.
Eat it.
Well, but that, and by the way, that brings out one of I think the drawbacks of that method is that if it's Dimitri's turn, it's going to be Teach You, people will say, oh, it's Dimitri's turn tonight. I think I'm not going to go.
I know.
And then all of a sudden, you're on your night, people don't show up, and then you can't play the game you want to play or something like that. So it's not like that's not a perfect method either. And then what happens if you got two tables going? So then okay, so who picked last? Well, two people got to pick, and there are definitely tricky elements to that.
It's relationship. Is the dynamics of a relationship. You're if you're in a game group that you've played for years, like we've been playing for decades in some cases, you're no longer really one person. You're in a relationship with all these people. So you have to view it like a relationship. And sometimes you're going to have to compromise, and sometimes you're going to get what you want.
Right.
And when it happens all the time. When someone gets more of what they want, people resent it.
Yeah. Like there's some people who get their games to the table over and over and over again.
And if some people don't get enough of what they want, they resent it. So this is where like it's a real ecosystem. Like, I really I know this is not everyone's cup of tea. I think a lot of people just go like, I just want to sit and play a game. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. And if you have that relationship with your friends, congratulations, you should keep that.
Yeah.
If it's simple and fast and efficient and you just sit down and you guys can all agree to play, oh my God, well done.
Yeah.
Well done. But that's not every game group.
Yeah, I think it's really hard. A method that I really enjoyed that we've done before is like the dice method, where actually people just present nominees, and you get 6 nominees of games that we can play tonight, and we assign each one a number. And I think the way we did it was that we've done it in 2 ways. One is roll the dice, and whatever the die is, that's the game we play. Or we've done like elimination style,
sure,
right? And that was actually really good too, because you feel like you have a voice because you have a nominee. And you say like, this is what I like to play. But actually it's fate chooses. And it's like you were not being shot down because someone else advocated better, or people just didn't care about your choice, or someone was being domineering, or someone had a pity party. Your choice didn't get picked because
that's
God, the way
God didn't want you to have it.
Which I found that was actually, and that was actually really good because it removes like the self out of it. And you can just play the game without feeling like, geez, like I remember like I famously was, when we did play Coffee Traders in October, I was really flummoxed about it because I had wanted to play, I don't even remember what game I wanted to play, but I had suggested like 2 or 3 games that had been deep on my shelf of shame that I thought would be really fun. And then out of nowhere, Coffee Traders came into the discussion, and that was just it. And I was so mad. I was so mad because it was just like, out of nowhere, I was like, I've had this game since 2018 trying to get at the table. Now out of nowhere, all of a sudden, let me have Coffee Traders. And I love Coffee Traders. It's such a fun game. It was such a great group of people. It was a fun time. I could not get it out of my head about how my choices were just like brushed aside so quickly. And I talked to my therapist about it, and it's like, he was like, well, it's basically like, did you say something? I was like, no. And it's like, it's like, 'cause ultimately I just want someone to say, Ben, you know what? I realized that you really wanted to play these games, and thank you for playing this game, even though you want to play those other games. But like, if you don't say anything, no one's going to say that to you, right? Like, why would someone say that to you? So that, no, but that's the way life is. Like, it's like, well, you sit there and you have like a pity party. Like I had a pity party for myself.
Oh.
And like, I could have just not had a pity party, and I could have just had fun, and I could have just said, I don't know what I could have said, but I could have I could have either said, guys, could we just play this game because I really want to play it? But instead I had a pity party, and then I didn't get to play the game I wanted to play. And instead I felt bad, and I ruined my entire night just because I didn't verbalize what I really wanted to do.
I hear you.
So the point is, why did I go down this talk about therapy? The point is that like there's a lot of, I think, emotional stuff that goes into a game. And I think that like it's really important to advocate for yourself, because otherwise you do wind up like ruining your own time.
Yeah, no, I think the way that I would describe it to like boil it down would be as forthright as your game group allows. Like Dimitri cannot say, teach you all the time anymore. He can't. Right. Because we ignore him.
Yeah.
But like as forthright as you can be, and and just say, hey, here's what I want to play. Like you're great. Like sometimes that might mean that you can't say it at all. At which point, maybe find another game group. Yeah. Like that's.
There's certain games I know that I can't really bring to the table.
Sure.
Or a lot of times, I still bring games to game nights, but I've way decreased the amount of games I bring to game night, because I know that the act of bringing them gives me false hope, sort of subconsciously, that I'll get to play them. And you're not ever guaranteed. And like, you can set yourself up for like disappointment. So like, let me go into it open-minded, like, okay, let's just play a game. And like, I'm not going to bring my expectations into it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's all.
Which is kind of like a messed up thing. Like, oh, it's our game group. I'm not going to bring games to our game group.
I think if you're in a relationship with people in the decade type thing, like I think it's bound to get messy.
Yeah. But then again, it's not like I don't bring games.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
I brought Marrakesh. I brought Manhattan Project. So I guess it's more like an ebb and flow. Like you advocate for I think it's all about advocating for yourself, but also know when you've been constantly advocating and like ceding the floor.
Yeah, like you have to know when to hold them, but you also have to know when to
show them
or fold them.
I don't know.
But never count your money while you're sitting at the table.
The point is, I advocate for I think the dice method is a really strong one. I think the downside for the dice method is that like if 4 weeks in a row and you haven't been able to play your game because the dice haven't worked out.
And what if it's the other way? What if someone's 4 weeks in a row, they get their pick? Like, you know, like the swings of fate are cruel.
Well, maybe it's that like after three, if you get like
three wins in a row,
three in a row, you're like
you sit on a Viking ship,
or like you get like or maybe you use 2 dice so that way you have like a Catan rule, so like you get the number that's like 2 or 12.
Like I've learned a while ago that you can't legislate good behavior.
Yeah, there's no way to.
That's right. You can't do that. You all you can do is like you have to trust that people are going to be cool.
Well, it kind of reminds me. This is actually why I've said it a million times. Why I don't love board games where it feels like they're trying to emulate a video game because they have to constantly layer in all sorts of rules to keep the experience proper. And that's like what we're talking about here. Like, well, okay, if we do the dice method is great. Yeah. But if someone's getting it too much, then we have to add a rule that says if you have it, if you've won 3 times in a row, then you can't be out. But that's like, but you don't want to take away their voice. So how about another rule that if you get 3 times in a row, you get a lesser number, which means that we should actually add more numbers. So now we have more numbers, so now we change the probabilities. But if you get it 5 times in a row, so like
the secret is just be cool, man. Sometimes
don't be uncool.
Don't be uncool. Those are the guidelines.
Let's see if we can actually follow them. I don't know. I'm fascinated. I want to hear what people say. Definitely like speak on our
like if anyone has a foolproof method, please share.
Please.
It's just not for us. Like I think there will be people who go like, oh my God, thank goodness for this foolproof method.
Yeah. And I think also like maybe another thing is if someone says, you know what, I played this game and I had a really bad time with it. You just take it out.
Or just believe them.
Believe him. Believe him. But if someone says I had a bad time with it, but I'd like to try it again.
Believe him.
Believe him.
Yeah. Like just take everything at face value sometimes.
Yeah. And if you don't want to play something, just say I don't want to play that.
No more teach you.
I don't know. I think we have solved absolutely like 0 things with this podcast. I don't know if I think we're in the exact same place that we started. I feel like
it's like Zen though. It's like
it feels like we've arrived at something, but like we all know this going into it, and we're going to make the same mistake. We're going to have the same discussions and the same spinning of our wheels.
Yeah, and here it's the cyclic nature of time.
But this is why I love game night, because all these things, interpersonal relationships, interpersonal discussions, and how we treat each other and how we respect each other and how we like when we use our voices or not use our voices, like they all come to the fore right away.
As I say, like, I don't actually play any game. All I'm doing is playing game night. That's all I'm doing.
And by the way, another reason, sorry, we're wrapping this up, but like, it occurred to me, like another reason why I volunteered to step back when there was the discussion about Bloodstones is only good at this, was also because I was like, I could see that like people wanted to play it, and like I just didn't want to like travel somewhere to go and then have a whole discussion about like, well, I want to play it, but it's not good at this player account. And I'm just like, just play it, either play it or don't play it, right? And I'm glad we did.
Yeah, me too.
I'm really, really glad we did, because I think that like it was like a good reminder that like sometimes who cares about player count? We can just all have like a super fun time with if the vibe is right,
Yeah, no. Word.
So word. Wow, we're great.
You're a hero, Ben. I don't know if anyone's already told you that, but you're a hero. Not like a hero, but a hero.
Well, tonight is Tom's game night, so we'll see how this all pans out. Right. Wait, do we have any pledges before Tom's game night? Any experiments we want to do? Because they're not going to hear this until after the game night.
Oh. A social experiment. Like, I'm gonna say no to the first 3 games just to see. But I might be a jerk about it.
My thing is that I want to play Marrakesh tonight, but we've gotten Marrakesh to the table a bunch, haven't we? I probably know what I can't do Marrakesh. I played Marrakesh last time I was at Tom's.
My response is like, let's see what happens if we're jerks at the table. Like I was hanging out with Jake today. and I showed him the social network bit where they go like, "Do I have your full attention? No. Do I deserve it? I shouldn't lie, so no."
Should we bring a game? I'm sorry, did I interrupt the rest of that?
I was going to say that basically the end of the scene is we're like, "Have I answered your condescending question?" And so I had my wife go, "Okay, maybe the rest of the week, if I ask you a question, tag it with that, like, have I answered your condescending question?" and see what my reaction would be. Anyway.
Well, maybe we should. So should we, as an experiment, bring a game and see if we can get it to the table, like a game that will be hard to get to the table, and see if we can get it to the table.
Sure.
But this is the exact opposite of what we're talking about.
Yeah. But like,
this is like a whole thing about like,
this is the dark side.
Listen, use your voice, respect people's voices, and I'm like, look, we force on people.
That's right. Nah, we'll see what happens, guys. We'll tell you next time.
Yeah, it was fun to think about it. Fun to think of how we could do it, but we'll see.
Yep.
TBD. Well, Paul, this was so fun. Thanks for doing a Friday afternoon podcast with me.
No worries, man. Great to have you, Ben.
It's great to be had. All right, let's wrap it up. You've been listening to Game Brain, produced and edited by Matthew Robinson, Tom Donnelly, Trey Alsop, and Ben Mandelker. Music and graphics by Edamar Peleg. To find out more about him, check out at Krubuloni on Instagram, or go check out his website.
The music is by Daedalus, by the way.
Music is by Daedalus. I'm doing this by memory as best I can. Go listen to Daedalus. And go find some games with friends, or find some friends with games.
Ow.